AM 590, KXSP Omaha's ESPN Radio. It's time for the Metro's only racing talk show. The Front Stretch, presented by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs. Now, here's Dan Taylor and Buddy Ray.
Well, good morning, race fans, and welcome to the Front Stretch, presented by Joe's Karting at Council Bluffs, online at joeskarting.com. That is, as always, karting with a K. When you take off the C and you add the K, that also it's like code in the karting industry. Do you remove the governors too?
Yeah, that's right.
That was kind of a long roundabout stretch.
Although when I saw you over there the other day,
feel free, you can post it. I am in the top 1,000 for RPM ratings, according to my sheets. I am in the top 98.7 percentile of racers
slow drivers
racers at Joe's Karting. And listen, you can make fun of me. I had a heck of a time. I love the fact that coming out of that hairpin, you guys put up lap time screen, LCD screen there.
You like that?
See your because even though I was racing with a friend of mine who was legitimately going this slower than the speed of snot, I kept pushing it every lap because I was watching it. That second time I raced, I was able to shave about a tenth to 2/10 off every lap. And I think my first lap was like a 16.9, and then I just kept trimming it down, and I could see it so I kept saying, okay, so what I did there was working. I tried that, and that didn't work out so well. Let's go back to this, and that's what I love the most about going to Joe's Karting is I honestly think that it is as close to racing as I'm ever gonna get. I mean, other than paying a bunch of money to go do like the Richard Petty driving experience or the Rusty Wallace driving experience at Iowa Speedway, I think Joe's Karting is as close as I'm ever going to get to it.
Have you ever noticed that when you're there, I hear this all the time, well, these karts aren't equal. This kart's more powerful. Yes and no. It depends on how you drive the kart.
Exactly. It's the way I've kind of justified it in my head is that when you sit down in your sport mod every week, or somebody like Jesse Sobbing sits down in his A mod every week, or somebody like Kevin Harvick sits down in their car every week, they have different cars. And it's a different type of track that they have to adjust to each and every week. So it's the same thing when I go to Joe's Karting. The first kart I had, I can't remember what kart number it was, but that thing had so much grip in the tires. But I ran slower in that car than I did in the 11 kart when I had it in my second race.
The 11 car was a lot looser, and you could get it around the track better, where the other car had so much grip. Now, for the listeners out there, they're the exact same brand cars, exact same motors. There's nothing different. It's just, when you want to be a race car driver, you have to learn how to drive different lines with different setups. And basically, that's what Joe's does.
It takes you about 3, 4, maybe even 5 laps to figure out the car. But I'm telling you, once you figure it out and you figure out when you need to start braking and when you need to start throttling, it makes it a whole lot of fun. Joe's Karting at Council Bluffs. By the way, congratulations on finally getting that stoplight fixed.
I'm telling you. That was getting to be like the South End joke at Council Bluffs. You know how many people blew through that stoplight right there?
I did it 15 times, and 10 of them I was completely sober. I swear to God, I was sober.
Yeah.
That was getting to be as bad as a road construction job in Omaha. It was taking. I couldn't believe how long it was taking.
I'm surprised they didn't put that on the front page of the Daily Nonpareil.
Well, then you'd have to actually report on news.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. Good morning, guys, and welcome to the Front Stretch. We are live for the first time this year, and we want to hear from you. We have the phone lines completely open. We have a couple of topics we want to talk about a little bit. If you want to talk about if you were at a dirt track so far this weekend, what you saw. I know I-80 has ran for 2 weeks in a row now. Eagle was doing practice. We're hopefully going to get some.
Columbus was doing practice.
Crawford tried to run, got one.
Adams County had practice.
Yep, there was
Frostbusters over in Boone, Iowa area.
So if you were out and about, we'd love to hear from you from what you saw from tracks, and then what you saw from some of the drivers. We also want to talk to you about some NASCAR stuff. Do you like the new system so far? We're 8 races in. We just had our first repeat winner. Is the new rules a reason why we're seeing the 7 straight first-time winners now that the streak's over with? Are we going to see more and more repeat winners? We want to hear from you. And then I think the biggest topic I want to talk about with the callers and with you listeners out there, who is your Rookie of the Year pick so far? It's a pretty stout. Well, it's early in the season, but so far,
who's your pick?
Dillon, well, I think Kyle Larson is performing better, but Austin Dillon is beating him in the points. He's because he's had more of a consistent run. He didn't finish. What,
How close is it?
What did Larson finish at Daytona, by the way? You got how many points in the
Shut up. Had Larson been in the top 10,
it'd be a different story. But
so he's had one bad run basically
that has hurt him pretty bad. So,
yeah.
But that's what is Austin Dillon's consistency, because he is consistently within the top 15. But Larson's rattling off every once in a while. He's getting he got second at Auto Club. He's had a couple of top fives. He's had several top tens, including last night at Darlington. Got himself another top 10 finish. But I want to know who you think. Is it going to be Kyle Larson?
It'll be Young Money.
Do you think Austin Dillon? I'm asking the listeners. Do you think Austin Dillon will flourish throughout the year? Because again, he's got Richard Childress equipment. So then the Rookie of the Year is determined your best 17 starts. It's not 36 overall. It's not, top 10. They take your best 17 finishes, and that's what determines it. So it very easily could be Kyle Larson. He's definitely on a streak, and he's running well, but we all know that it's a long season, and things could drop off. So that's what I want to know about. 573-0590, 402-573-0590. Give us a call and give us your opinion on who do you think is going to be Rookie of the Year. Is Kevin Harvick finally safe now that he's got his second win of the season and he's now 22nd in points? Or is somebody else going to creep up there? Are we going to have 16 winners? There's a lot to talk about. We haven't got to do any phone calls this year, so we want to talk to you. Let's talk Darlington results from... as they are unofficially. I want to say unofficially because we have to throw that out there, because unofficially we got burnt a couple of times last year when Penalty Tuesday came down and all of a sudden people got fined. So as they stand right now, the unofficial results from Darlington. You got to watch the race. I only got to hear the last half of it. Your top 10, Ryan Newman, Bloomin' Newman. Actually, it's not the Bloomin' Newman anymore. That's now Kevin Harvick. But Ryan Newman got a 10th place finish. Tony Stewart came home 9th. Kyle Larson again with a top 10 finish, 8th. Jeff Gordon 7th. Kyle Busch 6th. Greg Biffle 5th. Matt Kenseth 4th. Jimmy Johnson, Dale Jr., and then Kevin Harvick gets the win. This is a top 10 that we're more used to.
Yeah, but in this top 10, what's shocking? When I look at Tony Stewart at 9th, he was a lap down most of the race.
Yeah.
So when I seen that...
Was it pit strategy that was able to get him back on the lead lap?
It just didn't really look like he was running that well. I was noticing that. I mean, him and Danica were back there for most of the race. Mm-hmm. Danica still is back there, But Tony
finished 22nd.
Yeah. I mean, but he was right around that 22nd, 23rd, 24th. Now, you look at Kyle Busch in the 18 last night. He was, 24th, 25th. He had to go to the back on a restart because of too many men over the wall. But it felt like not much more than 20 minutes later, he's running third place.
Yeah.
So, I mean, one could say, well, it wasn't. I don't want to hear no excuses. Tony Stewart could have done the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, and Kyle Busch had a car that was running 240, 280 degrees, overheating.
It does seem that Tony quite often will start off with a poor car, and his over the last at least 5 years, as far as I'm concerned, his strength has been working with the crew chief to get the car right, and I think that's what you're seeing right there with the 9th place finish. Did you see the last pit stop? I didn't hear over the radio when I was listening to it if he did a 2-tire change.
I didn't get to see the last pit stop. I was outside on the phone with work.
I would tell you that it doesn't make sense to me that he would do a 2-tire change. I apologize that I don't know. I didn't get to see the race.
Here's what's really weird though. You're talking about a 2-tire pit stop. Jimmy Johnson does a 2-tire pit stop along with Dale Jr., I believe, at the last. But Harvick took 4 tires, and at the end of the race, like DW said, those 4 tires at Darlington are going to grip above and beyond. So
you saw it Friday night with Chase Elliott, who restarted the green-white checkered finish 6th, but he was the first one with 4 fresh, and he was able to drive his way to his second straight finish, second straight win in the Nationwide Series.
4 tires at the end of the race were definitely the way to go versus the 2 tires.
It was a good call for Johnson to go 2 tires, because when he came out of the pit road off that stop, he had the lead, and then what was it? I can't remember who was outside of him, but Dale Jr. was second or was third, and then I think it was Biffle was 4th and Harvick was 5th. had that caution not came out for, was it Debris or Kurt Busch or so? I think it was Kurt Busch that wrecked, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That brought out that caution, that the push that Earnhardt gave Johnson to launch him to the lead would have ended it. Had they gone green, white, checkered there, we'd have been talking about Jimmy Johnson getting his first win of the season, our 8th straight first-time winner. But instead, the caution came out. Harvick was able to pick up 4th, which put him inside second row, which he then pushed Earnhardt to the lead. Another caution came out. He was second place. It was curtains from there. So the two-tire change was smart. The tough thing with two-tire change at tracks like that, you have to have enough guys do it also. I think Johnson had it, but the cautions just didn't fall his way. If Johnson would have been the only one to go 2 tires, he'd have been stuck out to dry, and he'd have plummeted through
that might be, but last night, the one car that just outshined everybody was Harvick.
Yeah, he had, a 2-second lead when that, when that last caution came out.
But, before we went to air, you were talking every week, it's like Harvick's going, well, we're just waiting to blow up. We're waiting for a part to fall off the car, an engine to shell. And last night, I've never seen Harvick run that hard. At the end of the race on the restart, I've never seen Harvick push a car so hard like he did Junior. Junior's back ends all over the track. And I was like, that a boy. Well, so it was great to see Harvick get the win. If I was the crew chief, for Jimmy Johnson, if I was Chad Knaus, I'd be doing the 4-tire, because the 4-tire changes after the pit stops were showing immediately right away that they were way faster than the 2-tire changes.
I like Chad's call on that, going with the 2 tires, because it gave him and 4 other guys enough cushion between Harvick. I mean, when the green flag came out and Johnson took the lead, and a dominant lead at that, it proved that it was the right call. And plus, this new system, the win and you're in system, makes Chad sit there. I think Chad would have done it anyways, but he can also sit there and say, well, we've got 15 other tracks we're good at throughout the entire season that we can just get it back then. I don't have a chance of beating Harvick if I go 4 tires. There's no chance of Johnson catching Harvick and beating him if he goes 4 tires. Do you agree, disagree?
I would agree a little bit, maybe.
Because I think just like you said, Harvick had the best car. So Chad's only choice was 2 tires. That was the only choice.
But you know what was interesting last night that I think is something we need to watch? It was either DW or Mike Joy, one of the announcers on Fox last night. There's a little bit of a tension going on between old Chad Knaus and Jimmy Johnson right now. I mean, they were joking last night. Maybe Mr. Hendricks needs to go get a plate of cookies and a gallon of milk and sit down with the boys. It's kind of like what they did a few years ago. I think there's some frustration there because Jimmy Johnson's up there up front, but we're used to seeing Jimmy Johnson up front. We're used to seeing Kyle Busch up front. We're used to seeing Kevin Harvick up front. But there for a while, and you coined it the Jimmy Johnson syndrome, where it just seems like he was a threat to win it every week. He was first or second. Well, we're not seeing that right now, and I think a lot of that is because of the byproduct that the new chase format, the new point system has developed into. And I think there's some frustration there.
The actual reason why we're seeing that, Chad Knaus addressed it a couple of weeks ago, and we just haven't had a chance to talk about it, is that while Penske and some of these other teams were already testing mid last season and the end of last season with the new aero packages that NASCAR had said we're going to switch to for 2014. Teams like Penske were able to go to tracks and test, while Jimmy Johnson and that 48 team, they're running for a championship. So they were still focused on 2013, which it worked out for him. Chad said, you know what, honestly, right now, we're going to be behind the rest of the teams for about the first 10, 12 or so races, and oh, by the way, behind them means just simply not winning a race, but he's still getting plenty of top 10s and plenty of good finishes.
Right now, the chase started, he's right there.
Well, but the chase doesn't start for quite a while longer.
I'm just saying if the chase was to start right now, he's still in there.
But this isn't anything new for him. It's not like Jimmy Johnson has won, races right off the bat every single season. I think you brought it up. How long ago was it that we went 5 straight races without Jimmy Johnson, or 6 straight? It was 6 straight because it was after Martinsville of Jimmy Johnson not winning a race. It was 2012. It was 2 years ago that he hadn't won a race.
Do you see Jimmy Johnson being a considerable threat to win another championship this year?
Yeah, they're going to get this aero package down. They're going to get it figured out, and it's going to be soon. It may have been last night. I mean, like we've talked about with the top 10s just recently, there's 2 or 3 guys in these top 10s consistently that aren't typically in the top 10s. and this is no bash, we're not trying to talk bad about anybody, but A.J. Allmendinger's up there in the top 10. Paul Menard's up there in the top 10. We're seeing Marcus Ambrose up there in the top 10, who typically only shows up in the top 10 on road courses. We're seeing these guys that, oh, by the way, are benefiting from the testing they were able to do with the new aero package. But it's also a product of the new system. It's these guys that are able to gamble on the last pit stops and say, we've got good cars, let's go with 2 tires, let's throw the dice, and if we win it, then we're winning. I
love watching these guys like Dinger and Ambrose. I think it's actually fun to watch them to actually come up and be a competitive threat.
It's really nice to see new blood up there in the top 10, top 15.
I mean, it's about as shocking as seeing me run top 5 somewhere.
I'll tell you, I'll be shocked.
Speechless
I'll be shocked when I see it. For your Sprint Cup Championship standings after last night, Austin Dillon in 10th, Ryan Newman 9th, Joey Logano 8th, Brad Keselowski 7th, Kyle Busch 6th, Dale Earnhardt, Jimmy Johnson 5th, Dale Jr., Carl Edwards, Matt Kenseth, round out your top. Up into the top, and then your current points leader is Jeff Gordon, just 1 point in front of Matt Kenseth. Big drop for Joey Logano, who got himself a pretty hard rookie stripe last night, and then had to put it in the pits. Brad Keselowski also had a rough finish, I believe, at Darlington last night. So
Menard had a rough finish. Keselowski had a rough finish. Logano had a finish. Kurt Busch, I'm going to tell you right now, everybody knows me knows I'm a big Clint Boyer fan. Mm-hmm. Love me some Clint Boyer. Who
doesn't? Who doesn't love Clint?
I tell you what, last night, I don't think I Did you ever get to see the replay on that?
No, I didn't.
So they're coming. Kurt Busch comes off the bottom, comes up into Boyer. Boyer gets a run, gets into him, and just flat spun him out on national TV and put Kurt into the wall. And I was like, Kurt, all right, let's go. I'm going.
Was it
Boyer, what are you thinking?
Was it a last lap racing thing?
No.
Was it just racing hard, or was it possibly payback for something else?
I'm thinking it had to be. I would love to get into Clint's head and go, what was that all about? Because even Dora Waltrip on TV goes, I like Clint and I like Kurt, but Clint just flat spun him out.
Was it one of those apparent things where you could see when was it Carl
Edwards?
He
never lifted. He just went right into the back, never lifted, and took him out.
When Carl Edwards spun Brad Keselowski at, I can't remember what racetrack it was at, but you could distinctly see Carl's white gloves turn right.
No, it wasn't that.
It wasn't that blatant, but it was.
No, Kurt Busch came off. When Kurt Busch came off the bottom, he got up in front of Clint Boyer, and there was probably a good car, 1.5 car lengths, space there.
Yeah.
Distance, thank you. And, here comes Clint, runs right up onto the back side of Kurt, and he never turned his wheels. He just never even lifted. And DW's like, when the guy passes you, you have to give him room to settle in.
Yeah, but it's the last it's green-white checkered.
At that time it was not green-white checkered. We're talking probably 25 or 30 laps prior to the finish.
No, Kurt Busch didn't wreck that far. Kurt Busch was the first caution after the green-white checkered.
Okay, my bad. So yeah. So it was right there, but it was Clint should have lifted right then and there.
I don't know.
It was when Darrell Waltrip and the others are going, Clint just straight took him out.
Let's just say it again, that their job is to build drama. That's the reason why during a rain delay, they'll say, we'll be green-white racing here, or green flag racing in just a moment. And you can still see the rain falling in the background. It's a white haze from rain. But
I've been to dirt tracks where we've seen it rain in the field right next to the track, but the track's running, so.
Well, that's different. When you can see the track and it's shiny wet. Well, we're going to be green flag racing in a little bit. Are you really? In just a little bit?
But they got the Titan blowers.
Well, I've lost a lot of respect for Fox. They're obviously on they're on the ropes with ratings and trying to build anything they can. There's drama there. Kurt caused plenty of it when he was pretty mad after that wreck and showed his displeasure towards Boyer. We're going to have to take a quick break. We've gone a little long on this one. We'll be right back. If you're trying to call in, 402-573-0590. We're going to put you right on hold because the receiver isn't working again. Technical difficulties, just like this show. We'll be right back. This is The Front Stretch.
Joe's Karting is the Metro's fastest indoor karting facility, with karts that can reach 45 miles an hour because they rip the governors out and design the track to be fun yet challenging. This isn't your typical amusement park go-kart track. This is white-knuckle, full-throttle racing at its best. It's time to get to Joe's and find out what everybody's raving about. Located just off 23rd Avenue in Council Bluffs, or online at joeskarting.com and on Facebook, too. Get to Joe's today and unleash your inner race car driver.
This is Andrew from Kaziski Auto Parts. Kaziski Auto Parts is an insurance-quality used parts supplier that can match your foreign or domestic car or truck needs. If you have a damaged or broke-down car or truck, we guarantee a clean and quality part in next-day fashion. Kaziski Auto Parts, your neighborhood premium recycled parts supplier. Call any Kaziski Auto Parts salesman today by dialing 402-731-4592 or visit us at 5040 I Street in Omaha. Kaziski Auto Parts. Our quality used parts will match your car or truck's needs.
For 50 years, Eagle Raceway has been pushing the limits of dirt track racing. Saturday nights, come see the Midwest Best Battle at the fastest third-mile track. Gates open at 5:30 for IMCA Modifieds, Sport Compacts, Hobby Stocks, Sport Mods, and Race Saver Sprint Cars. Eagle kicks their season off on April 19th with the Icebreaker Challenge, featuring the debut of the Race Saver Sprint Cars. Located just 10 minutes east of Lincoln on Highway 34 and online at eagleraceway.com.
And the high line into turn 2 on the front stretch, presented by Joe's Karting. Online at joeskarting.com.
Going into turn number 2. By the way, I want to point that out. Thank you very much. It's obvious that you don't pay attention to the show, because 2 weeks ago you said, hey, do we go into the high line or the low line in turn 2? And that liner that we come back from every single weekend says we're doing the high line.
Well, I like to run the high line.
Well, I know.
I just smack walls when I run the high line.
Turn 2 brought to you by Kaziski Auto Parts, online at KaziskiAutoParts.com. Quality used parts at an affordable price. It's Team PRP. What?
How many parts do you need from Kaziski after the rain out from Denison last night?
I don't need any parts. I need a good old-fashioned car wash. I need a power. Anybody got a power washer they could give me? Because you may know. You
look like you went through the Baja 500 when you picked me up this morning.
I don't get to play around in the mud that often in my little race.
Oh, you took full advantage of that last night.
I just want to say to any officials at Crawford County, any of the roots in the infield, that was clearly from the drivers.
Oh, yeah.
There was no Ranger spinning cookies.
Because our basic racing slicks would just tear up that much.
It was. I saw that there was a 25 Joe's Karting Sport Mod out there that was just spinning cookies. It was very rude. Yeah, I'm looking at you.
As we just got done talking in turn 1 that I'm watching the race.
According to any Crawford County officials, it was you.
Yeah.
There was a bit of a mud. It was kind of like what was the big concert in the 60s?
Mudfest.
The big Woodstock. Thank you, Craig.
Thank you, Craig, our producer. He's thumbs up going, yeah!
It was a giant puddle in the infield last night after it just let loose. But PJ Pedersen's on line number 1. We're going to talk to him in a second. But let me get through the sponsor read. Team PRP at Kaziski Auto Parts. Quality used parts at an affordable price with a warranty available. The biggest deal they have, we're coming into the summer, so batteries aren't a big issue right now. But if you have a battery that goes dead in your car, go over to Kaziski Auto Parts, throw $40 at Andrew, wad it up and throw it at him and say, I want a battery from the front stretch. With that $40, you're going to get yourself a used battery, but it's going to come with a lifetime warranty. This is one of those things that it's not a gimmick at all. It's just simple supply and demand. Joe has so many of these batteries that come in with the salvaged cars that are perfectly good batteries. He's trying to get rid of them. And batteries are what? I think I bought a new battery.
$120 at O'Reilly's.
And those are 5-year warranties. Keep your receipt. Joe will replace it for you in 6, 7, 8 years. And you'll get another used battery that'll work just as fine for you. Kaziski Auto Parts, 51st and I Street in Omaha, or online at KaziskiAutoParts.com. PJ's on the phone, my pit reporter from Crawford County Speedway. PJ, how you doing this morning, bud?
Oh, kind of tired. I spent most of my 1-hour supper break hosing the 40, 50 pounds of Crawford County Speedway infield mud off my car.
Yeah, I tried to go through the car wash, but there's just the mud just gets so caked on there from when that 25 Sport Mod was spinning cookies. Again, I want to tell the officials of Crawford County it was not a Blue Ranger that was doing that.
No, it wasn't that. It was a maroon 02 Pontiac Bonneville.
I'm surprised you got out of there, to be honest with you. There was a lot. There was several dualies that got stuck. Granted, they're pulling about 1.5 tons, 2 tons of race equipment behind them.
No,
more than that.
Whoa, yeah.
Okay.
One of the things
15, 20,000 pounds.
One of the things I'll never forget from last night is Mike Nichols. He's got a big old Chevy dually 4-wheel drive. He had all 6 of those tires just spinning for all they were worth, trying to get to the grass in the tech area to get traction. He probably has 70 pounds of mud on the front of his enclosed trailer. It was hilarious.
Oh, it was ridiculous. Was he the one that was out there in turn 3 and 4 and was just he was probably hub deep in mud?
No. He was actually over by the scales.
Okay.
I'm not sure who that was in the tech area. I do know, or over in 3 or 4. I do know that Corey and Chuck Madden now have their cars in the same trailer, and their Cummins diesel in that Dodge was just screaming when they were coming out of there trying to get traction to go. Well,
a lot of people don't know. We were racing last night at Crawford County for a scheduled remake of a rainout for last week's show, the Deary Brothers show that got canceled because of rain. And we were about 4 or 5 laps into our second feature, which was our stock cars. It started sprinkling, and we kept it going. Did you just burp?
Nice, buddy. Nice.
No, that was you.
No, I didn't.
Oh, well, anyways. So, it was sprinkling and we tried to keep her going for a while and then the skies opened up and it just let go and it was right in the middle of the feature. Luckily we were under caution, but, they tried to get it going again and unless some cars had traction control, there was nothing they could do. There was cars spinning out. Nobody could get any grip and, had to call the races from them. And it persisted to downpour for about a half an hour?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's like it just opened up, and then the hail started coming, and it was probably a good 20, 25 minutes or so. But I still remember after the first caution, they come back, and they had been sprinkling a little bit, but you come over the headset, and you were telling me, you know what, it's sprinkling a little bit, but I don't think that the traction's really that bad. And then they go into turn 1, and everybody just starts sliding up towards the high side, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, never mind, I misspoke.
How did the action look last night?
Honestly, it was pretty much a one groove on the bottom, follow the leader. And I'm going to say something right now. I only think about 25% of that was the track, and I don't think it was the track prep crew. I think it was just the weather conditions the way they were. I think most of the deal, and Dan and I talked about it back and forth, I think a lot of the guys, especially in the lesser classes, it was unsanctioned for the stock cars, the sport mods, and the hobby stocks. They were using it more as a test session to get ready for the season. So you stop and think about it. They don't want to go jeopardizing tearing their cars up. So they pretty much just stuck on the bottom, and that was it. And it wasn't exactly great racing for the fans, but it also wasn't really the track's fault either.
Yeah, it was I don't think anybody really tried to go much higher than a little bit above the low groove. I mean, there was even the sprint cars when they came out for their feature or for their hot laps, their heat races. Let me correct it for a third time. They pretty much stayed bottom groove to 1 car length up. Maybe they went 2 car lengths above or car widths above the bottom groove, but that was it.
What I'm wondering is with the sprint cars, I think we were talking on the way over here, Dan, that you said there was 8 or 9 of them. Mm-hmm. How did they look on the track, though? Were they fun to watch?
No. It was single file. No. Nobody was pushing it. Nobody with that expensive a car is going to push it first off, in a heat race, and second off, on a night that it wasn't that great at racing. I mean, and like PJ said, it's nothing the tracks. It was just a consequence of the environment. The frost just came out of the ground. The track was a little rough. not rough. I say rough. It means completely. That means something different in the dirt world. You've already corrected me 2 times.
Yeah, rough means cornfield.
We've had rough at Crawford County. It wasn't rough. It was a smooth track. I talked to Bud Pash afterwards. He actually said he really enjoyed the track. He said, I'm not going to push it on this night. I might have pushed it if I was in second or third place, but he goes, I'm not going to push it tonight.
Yeah, I mean, Justin Reitz did an amazing job prepping the track. The only reason it was really a dust bowl was just simply, there was some wind, and of course, everybody who's in dirt racing knows that it's going to knock the moisture right off the top. It's not going to sink in. I mean, it was smooth. It was a nice, smooth track. It's just everybody wanted to be on that bottom. But I'll tell you one thing that really kind of, I thought, is encouraging is we did have 8 sprint cars last night. Now, a lot of people would say, well, there was only 8 of them. Okay, but stop and think about it. Eagle had their open practice. Pretty much all the race savers that run there were running that race. So if you stop and think about it, we get 8 cars, the ones that ran last night, back May 2nd. You start bringing the Eagle contingent in there, we have the potential to run anywhere from probably 12 to 20 cars opening night, first night out for the race savers in Denison.
Which is May 2nd. Really Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. I don't think I actually talked to a couple of the officials, and they were kind of surprised with the amount of cars we got. Not that they expected more, but they actually expected less. It was a fair board race, and they knew that there was other events going on. I-80 was drawing a lot of your modify or your B mods, your stocks, your hobby stocks, and your sport compacts, and then Eagle had the race savers locked up because those guys are going to want to go and test there. They've got the race savers have testing on. I think April 26th is the test and tune day for Crawford, if I'm right.
April 26th.
No, I think it's 27th. It's because
whatever that Sunday is.
Harlan's opening night is the night before.
Okay.
But then you also had opening night, or Boone had their Frostbuster last night too, which also took quite a few cars also.
Well, yeah, it was a good night to just kind of shake the rust off of things. It was a good crowd. I was happy with the crowd. I thought for a Saturday night, for everything that was going on, for frankly it being beautiful. And if I'd have had my choice, I'd have been sitting behind a campfire with a 6-pack. But I got to be at a dirt track working, and which I can never complain about. PJ, buddy, we always do appreciate you calling in and supporting the show and giving us your 2 cents.
Well, it might be 2 cents, but it's only worth about half a cent.
Somebody's making a profit.
By the way, going into turn 2, I'll stick with the mid groove. You can go high or low. I'm going to stick in the mid groove.
All right. We'll leave you there. I'll pass you on the high side. Talk to you later, bud.
All right.
All right. Jack Peralt's on the phone, too. Is he still there, Craig? All right, we're going to take a break. We need to play some commercials. We're a little bit into the hour, so we're going to get back on pack. We're going to talk to Jack Peralt in turn 3.
Yeah, he went to Eagle practice. I want to see how that went.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see how that went out, how it turned out for those guys. So we'll be right back here on the front stretch.
Joe's Karting is the Metro's fastest indoor karting facility, with karts that can reach 45 miles an hour because they rip the governors out and design the track to be fun yet challenging. This isn't your typical amusement park go-kart track. This is white-knuckle, full-throttle racing at its best. It's time to get to Joe's and find out what everybody's raving about. Located just off 23rd Avenue in Council Bluffs, or online at joeskarting.com and on Facebook, too. Get to Joe's today and unleash your inner race car driver.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Quaker Steak and Lube has been voted festival favorite once again at the National Buffalo Wing Festival. Visit Quaker Steak and Lube for our Best Wings USA, sauced your way.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
This week's Young Gun on the front stretch is Ryan Satter. Ryan's dad raced for several years before selling his equipment when Ryan was born. For the next 16 years, Ryan and his family found their way to dirt tracks all over the area. Finally, Ryan told his dad he was done being a spectator. He wanted to drive. With his father and family's support, Ryan bought his first car and raced 42 nights in his rookie year, claiming Rookie of the Year honors. In 2013, Ryan cut his race nights in half, still managing 10 heat wins. wins and a runner-up spot on several nights. Ryan is hoping for a big 2014 season and knows he can do it with the support of his father and family. Make sure to follow Ryan on Facebook at facebook.com/Ryan.Satter.5 and make sure to keep your eyes out for Ryan Satter. He's this week's Young Gun on the front stretch.
Time to grab another tear-off and make your move. We're headed into Turn 3 on the front stretch, presented by Joe's Karting.
I was just thinking about it as I heard that one, time to grab another tear-off. I was trying to sell the rain to the crowd as much as possible that this will cut down on the dust.
You know what I think?
If it had just sprinkled, we'd have been just fine. It had cut down on the dust, add a little moisture to the track. We might have seen some good racing, but...
Wonder if they could have used any water over at Eagle last night.
Yeah, I wonder so. Let's go over and talk to Jack Peralt, who was out at Eagle Raceway last night. Jack, thanks so much for joining the front stretch.
Hey, guys. How you guys doing?
We are hanging in there, doing pretty well. I think you got about 15, 20 minutes left in you before you collapse, right, bud?
Something like that.
We're going to try to get the show done before he passes out from exhaustion.
He's such a whiner. Walk it off.
All right, Jack, what did you see last night at Eagle Raceway?
Well, last night at Eagle, they had a good car count. I would say it was probably half the regular field they had there. A lot of sprints, as you guys alluded to earlier. I think that had to do with their driver training practice. They didn't get to have out in new class and everything, so there was a lot of sprints out there, and they kind of catered to the sprints, which we all knew was going to happen because their practice was rained out. So not a big deal. Track was in good condition to start out with, but of course by the end, when we got to go into our second run, it was so dry everybody was spinning out, so it was pretty much you were just eating a lot of dirt.
Was the track smooth, or was it rough, ruddy at all, or anything?
No, the track was pretty good on the first run we went out. Car handled good. The track was fairly tacky. It was on the edge of, tacky going dry slick. They gave the first hour to the sprints. And so, of course, they're going to take all that top layer of moisture off like you expect. But by the time we followed the sprints out with the sport mods, and track was still in good condition. It had its normal hole over in turn one, and the normal stuff you used to see in there. But it was good. The car was fast, and was happy with getting in one good run at least. For a whole $10 just to go test your car out on a track before the season starts. That's always a good deal.
How many sprint cars do you think they had roughly?
I'm going to say they probably had about 20 out there.
Wow.
Wow.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. For our practice night.
And I tell you, the guys that we had at Crawford, I didn't recognize any of the names from the result sheets.
Well, it turns out they've never raced at Crawford before.
Well, but I've seen result sheets from Eagle.
Oh.
And from other races that I've seen at Eagle. So I didn't I think they were all from Central Iowa. I don't think we pulled anybody from Eagle. Anybody who was going to run Eagle was there that last night.
Jack, was there anybody in any of the classes that kind of stood out? Maybe, somebody that was like, wow, where'd you get speed this winter?
Well, in the sprints, we were watching Joey Danley, and you know from racing at Eagle, Joey started out in the sport compacts, and he was in a sport mod. Now he's up in a sprint, and went out there, and my son and I were going, you know what? He looks pretty darn good. He looks pretty fast. Shaylee Bate had both of her cars out there, and she looked pretty good. She in one of the ladder practices when it got pretty slick, she looped it over coming out of 2, and she did a beautiful donut, saved it, and kept on going. So she's got some skills.
Wow. And she's I think that she talked about on the show a couple of weeks ago. This is kind of her year. This is the year that she needs to either get herself a couple of wins, or she may miss the boat, but she kind of feels like this is her year that she's able to really push it. Jack, I wanted to ask you. You talked about how you were able to get one good run out of the car last night. Can you learn a lot out of that one run, or is it just kind of picking up a couple of notes here and there to try out for the season?
Well, it's a little of both because you start out with your base setup in there, and you know what you've learned from previous years. And we run pretty much exclusively Eagle, so we know what the setup is. And Bud helped set up my car, through the years, and we changed a couple little things on it, and with a new body and stuff on it, we've got a little more aero downforce on it, which I used to be a believer that didn't really matter. But I've come to find out that all those little fins that they allow you to have here and there do make a big difference. So when I ran, that was all new to me. And, Bud has always said that you got to run these cars harder, so I tried running it in harder into the corners, and that's the valuable thing about practice is you can go out there and run your car harder than you can in a race because you don't have guys all around you, so you can go into a corner a little hotter than you think you might expect, so you get to learn what your shock package is doing, what your aero package is doing, and that stuff. So, it's valuable. You're just hoping that you start out in a good spot so you're not trying to chase it if you get limited runs.
All right, Jack, we appreciate your time. Thanks for giving us a call and updating us on the Eagle practice last night.
All right, awesome, guys.
We'll talk to you soon. Thanks Jack.
No problem.
All right, and let's head over to line number 1. We're going to talk to Pete. Pete, welcome to the front stretch. Hey, Pete, welcome to the front stretch, bud.
How you doing, man?
Good. How are you doing?
Oh, not too bad.
You want to, I don't have my system up. What were you wanting to talk to us about this morning?
About Eagle, the same thing Jack was talking to you about.
Yeah, what did you see, Pete?
It was a slicked over dry mess.
Yeah.
Other than that, looks like they tried to do a pretty good job on setting up the track and everything, but I guess due to unforeseen circumstances, the water truck broke.
Yeah. So you guys could have used some of that rain Western Iowa had last night.
Oh, we're getting it right now.
Oh, are you? Hey, that might be a foreshadowing what Omaha is going to get in a little bit. I should do a weather update for everybody. But, Pete, what do you drive? Or were you just out there watching?
I drive a sport mod this year. And everything's kind of a new thing for me. And they basically, you had about enough time for 1, maybe 2 passes, and that's it.
Was there anybody, in your opinion, that kind of stuck out last night in the sport mods or any of the other classes, Pete?
Out there?
Yeah.
There's a couple new setups on cars this year. Jack, he's got a nice new setup on his. Looks like the 44 caliber this year with the holiday horsepower and everything on it.
Oh boy!
And then
watch out for that.
Gary Sadoff setups and stuff where he's got a lot of patriotic stuff on his car this year.
What about anybody that you saw that seemed to be a little bit faster? Bud asked Jack just a little bit ago. Anybody you saw that seems to kind of have something this year for 2014 that we might need to keep an eye out for?
Everybody was kind of trying. To my opinion, everybody was trying to run the same line.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody was just trying to test out the same thing. I mean, when you only have limited stuff, it's like he was even saying, it's kind of hard to test anything when you're only running 1, maybe 2 runs.
Yeah. How many runs did you get in?
I didn't get in any.
Oh, you didn't?
No.
So you didn't even get a chance to shake the car down at all?
Not at all.
Is there any other tracks you're going to go to this year and try to shake it out?
Probably we're going to try I-80.
Yeah.
Maybe a couple times and possibly Beatrice.
Okay.
Have you thought about going out there April 18th and 19th, this upcoming weekend? Have you thought about going to the B-Mod Nationals out there at Butler County?
No, I haven't.
I've been wanting to know if there's anybody planning on going to that.
I'm pre-registered for Eagle for that weekend.
Yeah, because it's the icebreaker this weekend, right?
Yeah.
All right, Pete. Hey, I appreciate you giving us a call and giving us your side of the story.
No problem, man. Thanks.
Have a good one.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right. Good phone. 3 good phone calls today. I tell you, this show's going somewhere.
I'm telling you.
All right, we're going to take a quick break while we head out. Listen, I'm going to break it down for you really simple. It's going to rain today. Okay?
You think?
Pete just gave us a good forecast there, a good old-fashioned Jim Flowers forecast. It's raining out by him. It's going to rain here in Omaha, and we're going to see some severe thunderstorms, but mostly it's just going to be kind of cold rain.
I don't think we're going to see any severe thunderstorms today.
I need massive amounts of wind and rain to hopefully knock another layer of mud off of my truck, because I do not want to try to scrub that stuff off, which I'm going to have to do. It has now dried and caked onto the truck.
Oh, run it through a automatic car wash, you weenie.
I've done it twice already.
How much mud was on it?
I'm telling you, somebody was just spraying mud when I was driving calmly and patiently through the pits at Crawford.
Yeah.
We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back in turn number 4, wrap up the show. We're going to talk pickups contest and contract negotiations for 2 big drivers in NASCAR, among the many that are going to have contracts expired at the end of this year. We'll be right back here on the front stretch.
fastest indoor karting facility. With karts that can reach 45 miles an hour because they rip the governors out and design the track to be fun yet challenging. This isn't your typical amusement park go-kart track. This is white-knuckle, full-throttle racing at its best. It's time to get to Joe's and find out what everybody's raving about. Located just off 23rd Avenue in Council Bluffs, or online at joeskarting.com and on Facebook, too. Get to Joe's today and unleash your inner race car driver.
We have all been there before. Broken car part in your hand and some snot-nosed punk behind the counter has no idea what he is talking about, but he guarantees that this part will fix your car. You pay an arm and a leg for the replacement, get it home, and sure enough, it doesn't fit your car. Now, learn from your mistake and give an experienced salesperson at Kosiski Auto Parts a call today at 402-731-4592. Kosiski Auto Parts will get you back on the road with your arms and legs still attached.
Get ready for the victory lap as we make our way into Turn 4 on the front stretch. Presented by Joe's Karting. Online at joeskarting.com.
Well, typically this is where we tell you that green flag action is at noon today, and all the action is on the big screens at Quaker Steak and Lube. But as you may well know, that happened last night.
Yep, it happened last night. You know what else happened last night? My kiss of death.
Yeah, well, it's not a kiss of death. It's just, I've been actually very perplexed. The law of numbers says you got to get it right eventually. We're 8 races in, and you've had
one driver in the top 10?
I think you've had 2. I think you're effectively at 2. Yeah, you are. You took Biffle at Texas, and you took nope. Clint Boyer wasn't in the top 10 at Bristol. Where was he at? Let me find that, because I just want to rub this in a little bit more. He was 15th. Yeah. So you've had one top 10 finish.
So I have done so bad, but honestly, it's not that I'm taking bad picks, and you've been saying this all along. It's not that I've been taking bad picks. It is just the kiss of death. So, at Texas, at the last minute, a lot of the people playing the pick'ems didn't realize this, but I wanted to take Keselowski. And you said, do you want to take Kes? I was like, yeah. And then you're like, well, he's got damage. I was like, all right, I'll go back to Biff. But we haven't really gone racing yet. Well, then guess what happens to Kes at the end of the race?
He caught speeding on pit road.
The kiss of death. So I was like, 15. You got to be kidding me. And that's a guy I really wanted to take.
And I sent you a text message.
You owe me. You owe me.
Because I talked you out of it. I said, listen, Biffle is a good choice. Stick with Biffle. So you were trying to you're like, I got to pick up points, so I need to go with the 2 at Texas. No. Stick with Biffle.
Well, then, at the World of Wheels, and Monty, I hope you're enjoying listening to this as you're sitting in the McDonald's parking lot and eating your food. I met Monty Oman, at the World of Wheels, and he looked at me and he's kind of laughing. He goes, I'm going to win this. And I was like, okay, well, I'm coming for you.
Well, Texas threw a loop for him because he took the 4, who we all know blew a oil line belt, and ended up frying the motor, getting him only 3 points. He gave up the lead, fell back to 4th place. But he has since then he took Gordon at Darlington and kind of tightened the lead back up again. So
has he picked anybody twice yet?
Yeah, he's picked 2 people twice.
Ooh, that's gonna hurt him. This early in the season?
I'm not so concerned about his 11 pick, because he took Denny Hamlin twice already. But then he took Harvick at Texas, and so that pick burnt him. I mean, just think how big of a lead he'd have had he taken somebody else at Texas and held Harvick for tonight, or for last night. It'd have been a whole different story, but that's the way it goes. And right now, our Pick'ems contest, the big winner of the week was Carrie Hancock, the only one to take the 4 car, got maximum points that day.
Where's that put her in the points now?
She is now 13th in the points, and unfortunately, because we have the 3 different contests going on for the Iowa Speedway tickets. One of them is to be the overall points leader after Talladega, and that right now it's Mike Carlson is leading by 10 points in the Pick'ems contest. The other one is to have the best 5-week accumulative average between Martinsville and Talladega, and that is now Brock Ackerman, who has now opened up a big lead over Sonia Worth. So Brock's kind of cruising right now, but anything can happen in the last 3 weeks. And Carrie was leading in the worst 5-week accumulative points average.
But now that she took Harvick,
yeah.
So her good luck.
So she's now middle of the pack for the 5-week contest. And
that's a damned if you do and damned if you don't.
Yeah, yeah. You want to do good for the overall contest, which Carrie is doing well in, but you also, she wants to win that pair of tickets. So that's kind of the tough thing about this is do you want to sandbag and ruin your entire season, or do you want to try to pick up all the points you can?
I want to talk about one thing with this Pick'ems contest. You and I have been talking about this, and you're like, well, I got to tweak it a little bit, but I've done so horrible that even you had came back, on Messenger and said, well, you got to do something. So I picked every driver from starting with Darlington all the way out to Homestead at the very last race. Now, there's a couple things I got to tweak because I picked the same driver twice by accident, which, I think most would do. But, yeah, maybe hopefully this week you can send it out to everybody and everybody will see who I took, because eventually what's going to happen as the season goes on, the unfortunate kiss of death from Bud is going to start inflicting people because, God forbid, if these drivers knew.
I've been warning everybody what you take.
Oh, have you?
That's why. And we've been talking about it on the show before as we record on Wednesday nights. You take your picks, then it airs obviously on Sunday mornings. The majority of the picks come at 9 o'clock when everyone knows what you're picking. And I'm not even kidding you either. I've had, Andrew has sent me messages and said, I'm going with Tony Stewart. And I said, Buddy took Tony Stewart. And he says, okay, I'll go to Kez. So people understand that the curse is out there, that you've got Fantasy Racing Cheats, cheatsheet.com. Fantasy Racing.
Have you ever seen that before I sent that to you? It's actually pretty good info. I like how it says, Kevin Harvick, this percentage, at intermediate tracks, 50% of the time he's in the top 10. Mm-hmm. But then it breaks it down by intermediate track size, momentum tracks. Then it breaks it down to individual tracks like Kansas and whatnot. So that's what I went off of, starting with Darlington. And when you looked at Hamlin wasn't a bad pick at Darlington. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go there. Well, then, the unfortunate kiss of death happens.
The only thing I don't like about it is that, I'm a numbers guy too. And numbers don't lie. I live by them every day of my work life, with selling advertising. And I sell on numbers. But this year, as to last year, as to the year before, there are so many changes that have been made. Last year, I would have advised you 100% throw that record book out the window because we switched to the Gen 6. It was a different style of car. It was a different style of racing. This year, they've changed the aero package. And we've talked about it time and time again about these 3-4 drivers that are peaking up there in the top 10 that we don't typically see. I think to your credit, midway through the season, the numbers are going to start to even back out. The 48 team, the Hendrick organization, they're going to start to get this new aero package figured out. There's a couple of teams out there that are doing really well that I think will start to fall back to the back of the pack. Not that they're not quality teams, but that all those quality teams that are kind of struggling right now are going to start passing them, and they're going to fall back to that where they're normally at.
I still think I'm going to be a threat.
I don't think you're going to be a threat at all. I'm sorry, buddy. You're so far behind in the points. I don't think threat's anywhere in the vocabulary.
Such a Debbie Downer.
I'm sorry. You've got 133 points and you're sitting 19th. Harley, who didn't even get me a pick last night, is still beating you. You have picked every single week. Harley has missed 2.
Did he still beat me?
He's still beating you.
Well, I want to make him feel like he's accomplishing something.
That's very nice of you. I want to talk contracts. We got a few minutes left in the show. I think it's very interesting, and I've been talking with a good friend of mine and a big supporter of the show, Jim Laughlin, who does a contest with us, about this. He's a huge Carl Edwards fan, and right now Carl Edwards and Greg Biffle both have contracts that are up at the end of this year. And I guess I've talked to a lot of people about this. I don't see Carl Edwards at Roush Fenway next year. I really don't. I think that, Jim and I had this long conversation, and Jim says, well, Carl's a Ford guy. There's other Fords out there that are doing much better than Roush Fenway.
Look, you pay me tens of millions of dollars a year to do something, I can be whatever guy you want to be.
And I understand that argument. And maybe it will come down to that for Carl, that maybe he'll get another payday, but he got a really good payday with his last check. in his last contract and what has happened for him since. I hate to say it, but he has been completely irrelevant. He peaks every once in a while, and he's got to win this year. I don't want to take that away from him. He's got to win at Bristol this year. But other than that, you don't hear Carl Edwards.
He's a 6th to 10th place guy.
I think you're giving him credit with that. Honestly, I think he's a mid-pack guy that his talent is pushing him up there into the top 15, into the top 10 every once in a while. I think Roush Fenway, there is something going on with that organization because they have been forgettable every season.
Well, I wouldn't say that. I think Biffle does really good with them. I think
since when? I mean, he had a good run at Texas. He had a good run at Darlington last night. But name one other good run you've heard him in. I mean, they've had mechanical issues. And mechanical issues, I'll give it to you. You look at Kevin Harvick. He's 22nd in the points this year. Mechanical issues have stopped that car from winning. I think he'd be 3-4-time winner this year. But Greg Biffle and Carl Edwards, those guys, they have mechanical issues every once in a while, but it's setups. They're off. They're way off. Their horsepower off. Their aero off. Their everything off. I don't see Carl Edwards coming back to Roush Fenway next year. I think he's going to take...
What about Biff?
I think he would take a lesser contract this year, this next 3-4 years, to go to a Penske, who has continuously whooped him on the track and has a championship. I think he would go to another organization. I think he may...
Do you see him being maybe teammates with Keselowski? I don't see that, no.
To win a championship?
No.
I think he would.
No.
They've settled their issues.
Who would be the best fit for Edwards?
Honestly, this is such a stretch. I think Casey Kane has done at Hendrick also. I don't know when his contract is up, so that's a tough thing to say, but I think it's a good fit over there. I think Carl Edwards will look at the situation and say, I got my money, I got paid. And these NASCAR drivers aren't greedy, but that's one argument that people always come at. He got his contract. Now he wants his championship.
What about Biff? Is Biff a Hendrick kind of guy, or is Biff somebody that goes to Penske?
I don't think Biff has a lot of options. I think he's a talented driver, but I haven't seen him pushing the envelope a lot and pushing the top 5 a lot. He does it every once in a while in sparks, but I don't see him having a lot of options as far as where to go for contracts. I think he stays with Roush Fenway, and I think that Roush.
So you see him re-signing with Fenway?
Yeah, and then I think to fill the 99, I think we see Trevor Bayne up into the 99.
That's an interesting pick.
So I kind of foresee that at the end of the year, but anything could happen. We don't see the inner workings of these organizations, so maybe Carl sees something that says, I need to stay with Roush, because he's a loyal guy. He wants to stay with Ford. He wants to stay with Roush. But to be honest with you, you want to win championships more. And so if you got to switch teams, we saw this 20, 30 years ago when guys all of a sudden started signing up with Junior Johnson because he had the best equipment. He gave them the best opportunity to win championships. And we see it with Hendrick. Anybody would die to sign with Hendrick because you've got the best equipment, hands down. So that's I think that's where I see it. Anything you would disagree or agree with?
I don't disagree with it.
All right. We are back to recording next weekend. NASCAR is off. They're taking the break off for Easter weekend. God, it's already Easter.
Hey, guess what else starts up this week?
The Icebreaker Challenge at Eagle Raceway.
I was thinking Slinging Dirt, too.
Oh, yeah, we're going to do it.
Slinging Dirt.
So make sure to tune into that. Check out the Joe's Karting YouTube page. We do it on Wednesday night, so usually it'll get posted Thursday afternoon.
Yep, Thursday or Friday.
We're going to try to get it out before Friday because then it becomes irrelevant. But get out to your local dirt track this weekend. Eagle Raceway is running with the Icebreaker Challenge. Who else is running? Do you know? Beatrice, you said?
I can't remember who all.
Beatrice. What was
I'm going to be out of commission for about 2 weeks here.
The mod race you were talking about.
Oh, the Frostbusters? Yeah, that was this weekend.
No. You were just talking with Pete
yeah, Butler County, the B-Mod Nationals. That tells you how relevant that is when I'm going, I just talked about it.
Tells you how much you keep your head in the news.
Well, they got about 18 different sets of rules and whatnot, and it's confusing, and
You mean to tell me there's aspects of dirt racing that are confusing?
But with this race, it is.
All right, we thank you for joining us. We'll be back next weekend recorded, and then we're live again the following weekend. We appreciate you joining us. Follow us on Facebook, The Front Stretch. And we'll be... hey, by the way, get to Quaker Steak and Lube. Forgot to give the sponsor a read. All the action next on the big screens every weekend when racing is happening. Quaker Steak and Lube in Council Bluffs. We'll be back. Thank you. Have a good weekend. Goodbye.
Joe's Karting is the Metro's fastest indoor karting facility, with karts that can reach 45 miles an hour because they rip the governors out and design the track to be fun yet challenging. This isn't your typical amusement park go-kart track. This is white-knuckle, full-throttle racing at its best. It's time to get to Joe's and find out what everybody's raving about. Located just off 23rd Avenue in Council Bluffs, or online at joeskarting.com and on Facebook, too. Get to Joe's today and unleash your inner race car driver.
At Quaker Steak and Lube, we're famous for 18 flavors of incredible wings, voted best wings in the USA. But ooh, baby, there's so much more. Ribs, steaks, burgers, specialty drinks, and drafts, all served up on a platter full of fun. Every night is hot at the Lube, and every Tuesday is all-you-can-eat wing night.
Great times, great food. To Quaker Steak and Lube.